everybody, and welcome back to the art studio. I'm Allison Jensen and the owner of Orange Easel School of Art, and it is time once again to make our sensory bin for the next month of our quiet art and play class that we do with our Creation Nations. We have our preschoolers that log on with us twice a week in the afternoons during that afternoon quiet time, and we do classical music and we do yoga together, and we have an entry in our art journals, and we play with sensory bins, and then we read a chapter out of a chapter book. So this bin is going to be a combination of things that I found at the dollar store, along with some salt dough or some Play-Doh. The first thing we need to do is make some salt dough. Now I'm choosing to make salt dough, but if you have a already made up can of Play-Doh that you want to use, or if you have a Play-Doh recipe that you love, you go right ahead and use that one. I'm going to do salt dough because I feel like, well, it's just the easiest thing for me to do. And in order to make salt dough, I'm going to need flour, salt, and water. Those are my basic ingredients. Now I'm going to add a few extra things in there, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add my flour to my bin. Salt dough is a 2-to-1 ratio, so I'm going to do 1 cup of flour, because this is just for one kid, so 1 cup is enough. And I'm going to do 1/2 of a cup of salt. I always feel like Play-Doh and salt dough are better made in small batches because it's just easier to work with. Then we're going to mix all that up. Next, we're going to add in our water. Now I like my water to be hot water. If you would like, you can color your water. I'm going to go ahead and color mine to be purple. Now you only want to add enough liquid to make it come together into a dough. So I always add just a little bit at a time. Now if you're just using a spatula or a spoon, eventually you do want to dig in here and get your hands dirty, because the kneading step is what's going to help it come together into a dough and have it be, you know, a little bit stretchier than it is flaky. Y'all know these Play-Dohs or doughs that just crumble and make a mess, right? I want there to be a little bit of stretch to it. So we need to knead our dough. While I'm kneading, I'm going to add a few special ingredients to this. And these are optional, and I'll explain why we're adding them. The first thing I'm going to add is just a little bit of oil. Now you can do baby oil, you can do cooking oil. I happen to have baby oil, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. So the next thing I'm going to add is a little bit of lavender essential oils, because it smells good. And then to finish it up, I'm going to add some dried lavender. And this is going to be the perfect salt dough or Play-Doh for my sensory bin, because, you know, it smells like nap time. All right, guys, let's go ahead and build our sensory bin. So we have our salt dough or our Play-Doh. It can be any color. It can be any scent. It doesn't have to be scented. It can be store-bought. It can be homemade. If it is homemade, we're going to want to put it in a plastic bag. I'm going to keep mine in my Ziploc bag. And then this will go into the sensory bin. My kiddo can take it out and play with it in the bin, you know, during class. But when we're not using it, we'll keep it in the bag. Here is my bin, all emptied out from last month. This is just for one kiddo to use during class. So if you've got more than one artist who's joining us for Quiet Play class, make sure you have more than one bin. We'll set that in there. And then let's add some fun things from the dollar store that we have here this month. I am going to reuse some of our gems from previous months. So if you've got any sort of little stone or gem that we used, any trinkets, let's go ahead and put those in the bin. Those will be fun to push into the Play-Doh and pull back out or bury. The next thing I have, which is new, is some floral wire. It's from the dollar store. Now your wire that you find at the dollar store might look a little bit different than this, but we're going to go ahead and prep it for the kids. And then just using a pair of scissors, I'm going to give us a few different lengths to put inside our sensory bin. So I'm going to make, maybe 6 little lengths of this wire. Alternatives to this wire, if you wanted to, would be pipe cleaners. So if you would rather use pipe cleaners than the floral wire, you absolutely can. I feel like kids see pipe cleaners a lot, and this is something just a little bit different. I'll set this stuff off to the side, so if I need to refresh my bin later in the month, I have it. Next up, and kind of going along with the wire, is I do have some beads. I got gold and silver beads. These will be fun also to push into the dough, but also to string along the wire. So you can take your wire, string it with beads, and put two ends into the dough, and you'll have a, a sculpture. Put the side. Next up, I've got some little gems that I found. They're in little flower shapes. I thought they were very springy and good for the month of May. And I've got two more things. The first, are miniature umbrellas, which are amazing. So we'll put a couple of those in there. So we're not going to add all of these into the bin. You're going to want to keep some of these back. They're not the most durable of sensory bin fillers, so chances are they will break throughout the month, and this way you'll have a whole package that you can add back into the bin, right? I'm going to go ahead and prep a couple of them up into umbrellas. All right, the last thing I have are these little buckets, and they could be used, they're actually made for like wedding favors, but they could be used to fill with beads. They could be used to fill with the trinkets. They can be used to be filled with Play-Doh, and then, use the wire or the umbrellas to stick inside the bucket. So I'm gonna stay with just one bucket in my bin. I'll put the others off to the side for something else. And there we go. All right, guys, there we have it. We've got our bin for the month of May. I'm gonna stick my lid on it so it is ready to go. And I hope to see you guys in class.